God, thank you so much for being here today. Today is August 17th, 2021. Our thought for today is strength of a character means the ability to overcome resentment against others, to hide hurt feelings, and to forgive quickly. Let's learn to be the luster. I'm going to officially call this meeting to order tonight. We're going to ask if Commissioner Mason will lead us in our prayer tonight, and ask Commissioner Edwards will lead us in our pledge. Commissioner Calvin is here tonight by phone, so he has phoned in, and Commissioner Sanders is here as well. So guys, we're going to ask you if you would proceed accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's all bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us back to this meeting one more time to do the business of Newton County. And God, we ask that as we proceed and go through this agenda, God, that you would give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding on how to lead this community with excellence, with grace, dignity, love, care, and compassion. God, we just ask that you bring this community together as you have called us to be. And God, we even ask that you touch each elected official that sits here to make decisions for this community. God, we ask that you continue to renew our minds and our hearts and our spirits, God, so that we may be the leaders that you have called us to be, that we may lead this community into a level of excellence. And so we thank you. We give you all the kingdom honor and glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner, if you have an opportunity to look at the agenda tonight, I seek a motion that we approve, please.
So moved.
Need a second? Second. There's been a motion by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Calvin.
Aye. Mr. Cameron.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Guys, there is a need for executive session tonight before we move into further potential litigation. I seek a motion that we move into executive session, please.
So moved. Second.
It's been motion by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, you said, yeah, tell us everything. You come with it. What it may be for.
Potential litigation. Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Mr. Cameron, aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Guys, we're gonna move into a quick executive session. We'll be right back and we may take a vote. Thank you.
The movie did turn out well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing, huh?
That's my favorite part.
This is Ronnie Cowan. I'm not.
We can have-
Did you, give it? She did.
Now, let's take a motion, then we go, and we, resume back in our regular schedule meeting, please.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Second. There's been a motion by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Coward? Aye. Thank you, sir. Passes 5-0. Guys, it's actually 7:30, we're running just a couple of minutes behind. It's time for our zoning tonight. We're gonna ask Ms. Judy, if you would please come up tonight, ma'am. And if you would you please lead us in our zoning tonight?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item before you this evening, is conditional use permit CUP 21-000002. The property is located at the corner of Highway 11 and I-20. The proposed use is for a fast food restaurant. It is in the brick store overlay tier 2 and 3, located in District 1 on map parcel 1112-017. The acreage is 46.12 acre tract with 10 acres proposed for the project site. The applicant's intent is to establish a convenience store with the sale of fuel and motor vehicles and the use of underground fuel tanks in the Little River watershed. This is an aerial view of the property. As you can see, the property is on the southeast side, the south side of I-20 and the east side of Highway 11. This is a zoning map. It shows the property is zoned both CH, commercial highway, and AR, agricultural residential. The future land use map does show that the property is in a development node. The watershed, as stated before, is the Little River watershed, which is the reason why this property had to apply for a conditional use permit. And the overlay map shows that the property is both in tiers 2 and tier 3 of the brick store overlay. Commissioner District again is District 1. And this is a site plan of the subject site. This is a rendering of the potential proposed building. There is a zoning condition that will change this somewhat, but again, this building here does meet the brick store overlay. But because we are attempting to set a tone for the brick store, the building will be four-sided brick. So conclusion, the conditional use permit is required due to the sale of fuel for motor vehicles and the use of underground fuel tanks in the Little River watershed. The proposed request appears to be able to meet the standards for the use, provided the state waters and wetland area is protected, and the underground tanks shall meet all applicable requirements set by the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, EPD. The development of community impact is in regards to the 10-acre proposal in the brick store overlay. Board policy has indicated the need to maintain and provide a clear sense of entry at the Highway 11 exit on I-20 and has been very proactive in adopting the brick store overlay district to help protect the scenic character of the area and to encourage quality development. With the incorporation of the recommended conditions, staff is of the opinion that the petition is consistent with the policies and intent of the brick store overlay. Recommended conditions. I'm sorry, but should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for the conditional use permit for a convenience store with the underground fuel tanks on a conditional basis, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. A, there shall be a minimum of a 100-foot of landscape buffer on the developed property along the frontage of Highway 11, except for the pavement portions of the driveway and curbs. B, all parking areas shall be of hard surface such as pavement, concrete, or pervious pavers to prevent any dust impact to neighboring properties. C, compliance with section 520-010B, requiring 35 foot of a natural and undisturbed riparian buffer for a stream or wetland area, except to the extent the buffer requirement is mitigated by the act of the Army Corps of Engineers. D, the underground tank shall meet all applicable requirements set by the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Environmental Protection Division. The tanks are to service 16 motor vehicle pumps or 32 fueling positions only. There shall be no extended parking except for employees during their working hours. For purposes of this condition, extended parking shall be defined as a vehicle remaining in substantially the same location without moving for longer than 2 hours, to be enforced by the property owner. F, no overnight customer parking shall be allowed. G, no overnight parking signs shall be erected on the property. H, hours of operation shall be from 5 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. for all businesses on the premises. Employees and contractors may be on the property for the purposes of cleaning and preparation, but nothing shall be open for business except during the stated hours of operation. Hours of operation can only be lengthened with an agreement of the Board of Commissioners. I, the buildings will be four-sided brick with soldiers corresponding style around all windows and doors. The brick color and bond style will emulate the actual brick store historic building. In order to assure compliance, the building rendering must be approved by the Development Services prior to the issuance of a building permit. J, the developer shall comply with all Georgia Department of Transportation requirements, including but not limited to impervious surface setbacks, deceleration lanes, allowed number and locations of entrance and exits from the subject property. K, there shall be no above ground tanks. L, there shall be no fueling positions suitable for tractor trailer trucks on the subject property. M, there shall be no visible retention pond within the 100-foot front buffer. If necessary, underground piping or underground water retention facilities can be within the front buffer. And there shall be no public access showers or laundry facilities on the premises. And that concludes staff's presentation. If there's any questions, Chairman?
Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and open it up for our public hearing. We're gonna allow the applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight, 10 minutes. If you would, please state your name and your address for the record, please. The applicant and those that are in favor tonight. May come at this time.
Good evening. I'm Richard Miles. I'm General Counsel for Government Petroleum Company. Good to see you all again. We're asking you to approve this conditional use permit. The conditions have been hammered out. We've been continued for 60 days here, but this process has been going on twice now. We have been working with some of the commissioners who have been kind enough to talk to us, Chairman Baines, Commissioner Edwards. We've been working with Ms. Johnson. We have, Mr. Jones came over here, and we had 2 meetings. Then we have spent a good bit of time consulting with your county attorney. We think that we have a good compromise here, that will be something good for this community. We It's not gonna be a truck stop, and the conditions make that as clear as they possibly can, because there's no way you can get fuel into a truck unless you have specialized equipment. You're not gonna have any of that on the premises. It's gonna have, 16 pumps for passenger vehicles. There'll be some diesel, but that diesel is just for passenger vehicles. It will not service a big truck. Our plans right now are to have at least 3 restaurants in there. We might have 4. It depends on the approval. We've already got approval from Dunkin' Donut and Burger King. And we believe that this will be something that you'll all be proud of, and I hope you'll all come. If you have any questions at all,
I'm sorry, thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else that want to speak in favor? Anyone else that want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else that want to speak in favor tonight?
Good Lord, thank you very much. My name is Wayne Pugh. I live at Ruby Cove Meadows.
I need you to speak into the microphone, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank
My name is Wayne Pugh. I live at Ruby Cove Meadows. Adjacent across the expressway from this project. First of all, I'd like to thank all the staff and Ms. you guys and your staff, and all the hard work they have done in this project and helping us keep this to a convenience store model. And and also the board for helping us retain our community that we're living in today. And after reviewing all the stipulations that, and the conditions that they have put forth, we want to make sure that we actually agree and accept the travel center, convenience store travel center, I guess it would be a better way to put it, as long as it's not a truck stop. And I think we've all made that real clear, so I appreciate that. But recommending the conditions to be followed through by the board and by the planning zone to monitor all their building restrictions. I think the one thing that we would like to ask for change as a community around the area is the operation of the hours. Back in May of this year, they all agreed to go from 5 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., which is 18 and a half hours of a convenience store being open. That's 2 shifts for the employees instead of to 12:30. If it's a possibility we get that changed, we'd like to see that be amended somewhat. It's just 18 hours of being open, it's just traffic on our exit. I don't think it would matter so much. And number 2 is make sure there's no above ground tanks. Even though that I know the conditions say there would be no above tanks, but follow through on any of their position on that avenue. Third is how did the actual store grow from 8,000 square feet to 24,000 square feet? That's an awful large convenience store. I'd like to know what all we're going to put in it. 2 more restaurants. They said they're going to put 4 restaurants in one building. Seems to be an awful lot. But make sure they all contained in one building instead of having another building adjacent to the 24,000. In addition to uses of the facility, other than those approved by the CUP, described in this project, describe, report, and approve conditions by the VOC will require a separate application in any above compliance with the brick store overlay and any diversion from the conditions of this approval or use of any required prior written approval from the county board. Make sure that anything that they do outside what we're approved here is come back before the board to get additional approval. And that's all we have to say at this point, I believe. I agree with what you guys have set forth. I thank you again for your time, and Ms. Judy and your staff, thank you very much for considering our community in the River Cove and the surrounding areas. It's just not River Cove. It's all the surrounding areas for keeping our rural area and the brick-store overlay in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Thank you. That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that want to oppose tonight. If you would please, please come up tonight. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. If you want to oppose tonight, please come up and state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening, Board. My name is Leanne Long, and I am from the River Cove community. And I want to speak in opposition of the development tonight for all the voices that are not here tonight. I think there's a lot of confusion in the community about this, and a lot of people don't know about this coming back before the Board of Commissioners tonight. And the reason why is that I feel like there's a little bit of a procedural error here. And what I mean by that is they came before the Board of Commissioners and were turned down. Then they came before the board, they came before the Planning Commission again with an 8,000 square foot building. As you all remember, we got together, we came to terms with each other, it was really pleasant, and came up with a good plan, because we asked them the first time if they'd come back with a good convenience store type layout, that it would be great. They did come back with that, and we went to the planning board, and it was all great, we came back 5-0 on that. Then, I went on vacation, came back to the Board of Commissioners. I wasn't here. I heard through the grapevine while I was laying on the beach that all of a sudden it wasn't the same development when they came back to the Board of Commissioners. Thank goodness you guys were great and you tabled it, and now we got together after that and we were presented with a third plan, which was presented to us in July, unbeknownst to us, at a meeting that was 24,900 square feet again, which is back almost to the original development that was turned down, that was the truck stop. So, other than the sign changing out front, that the meeting would be tonight, most people don't even know that the building size has changed. I did go to the newspaper and I have them write a story about it so people would know. Most people don't take the newspaper anymore. People are online, they don't take the newspaper. So I'm getting messages left and right, I'm trying to get the word out on Facebook and everything else, that this whole development has changed again. That it is back to 24,900 square feet. They don't know that, people don't know. So to me, I feel like there's a procedural error going on with the Planning Commission. Judy does a great job, I'm not talking about her, I just think that we need to look and see if there is an error there. Because if you change the entire plan and people don't know about it, how does that happen? Does a regular citizen get to do that? You know, go from 8,000 to 24,900 square feet? So that's my comment there. Also, we agreed on hours. We agreed that this would close at 11:30 p.m. We're in a rural area. Okay, 11:30 p.m. at night is plenty of time. Now we've gone back to 12:30. So if you do make a motion to approve this, we've worked very hard on it. 11:30 is plenty of time for this business. The streets roll up out there, y'all, at 11 o'clock. So, 11:30 is great. 5 a.m. in the morning, we did say 5 a.m. was great for people to get coffee to go to work. So opening at 5 a.m. is wonderful. So that's where I stand on it. I just feel like that so many people in this community do not know about this enlarged building that is coming. They still think it's 8,000 square feet. Some people don't want any development. We're not against the development at all. We need development. I like to have a hamburger every once in a while and I have to drive to Covington to get it. So I appreciate that and thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else want to oppose tonight?
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Jim Hickok. I live in Mystic in Willow Woods Farms, which is just, it is a mile and a half from Highway 11 down between 11 and 229. I built my house out there 52 years ago. 30 years ago, Davis Morgan approached a group of us in the county out there to develop an overlay for the hub. I was one of the original people on that committee, along with Stan Edwards, or one of the, was it your father?
I don't recall, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Mort Ewing, Betty Bledsoe, Pierce, John Penland, Bradley Jacoby. David said it was gonna take about 3 months, about 3 weeks. We ended up there for almost a year and a half. We came up with a development for a village-type area for the hub, also one in Sand Springs, and incorporated a path in between the hub and Stanton Springs. Stanton Springs is being developed along the lines of what was originally charted there. Around the hub, the average property size in a 5-mile radius is 3.7 acres. 3.7 acres. That's River Cove, Surrey Chase, Willow Woods, there are 3 other, I can't recall their names. They're also in there between 142 and Highway exit 101. So what is being proposed now is going back to the original 47 acres is what they want, with a 24,000 square foot building. You don't need one that size. Right across the street is a BP station. There are 3 areas, three facilities in that BP station that are vacant because they can't sustain enough business for them. It's a quarter of a mile from Highway 11, from I-20 to the hub, which is 278 and Highway 11. There are 2 gas stations there. And they have a hard time making their stuff, making it work. The Maverick is teetering right now, quite frankly. So we would like to see it maintained as a rural area. Another gas station, if so, with maybe an 8,000, like Leanne Long was saying, 8,000 square feet was the original intent. And a Burger King would be nice, but not this amended application that they have before. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak opposed? Anyone else want to speak in opposition tonight? Anyone else? That portion of our public hearing is also closed. Commissioner Edwards, do you have any questions for Ms. Judy? Judy, if you would please come on back up.
Yes, sir.
Judy, so, just to be clear, the new design of this building, have we adhered to all what is required of the planning and zoning and all those, and all the actions that have to take place to make this this adjustment or this change in the plans legal? I mean, are we on track there? I guess that could be a question for you all.
Well, and I'm happy to answer. The answer would be yes. The reason this petition is even before this board this evening is in reference to underground tanks and fueling stations That has not changed from the original plan. If someone desired to go right now into the Brookstore overlay and develop a 24,000 square foot building that had restaurants and did not have the gas component to it, they would be able to move forward as long as they could meet all of the standards of the overlay. So yes, it did change the site plan as far as the building grew, but it did not change what was advertised and the legal reason this is before you this evening, which has to do with the underground tanks and the fueling stations. Now, the board does have the ability anytime to remand things back to the planning commission, but again, the building could have moved forward. It was simply the gas tanks and the underground tanks and the fueling stations that required it to come for the conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can you hold on just in case that other commission has any questions? I seek a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, this time I'd like to move this board to approve conditional use permit CU 21-000002 with stated conditions.
Can I get a second? Can I get a second, please?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. So, I just want to be clear, I guess, for folks who may be listening. So the petitioner, the one who originally wanted the truck stop and all that stuff, they went to a negotiation with the county and planning zoning and the chairman, and what y'all came up with was this design for this, for the Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, etc. on that particular spot, and I guess there was somewhat of the compromise.
And that may actually be best answered by the applicant's attorney, but they brought an updated site plan back to negotiations in reference to the cost. We apply a 100-foot buffer along Highway 11. And for all the road frontage that they have, they lose that space for any type of building to be in it. It is my understanding, and again, I think the applicant could best address this, that when they ran their numbers, that it made best sense for them to do a larger building, which would be able to produce more income for the fact that they are losing it in that 100-foot setback. But again, that is, it was an updated site plan. It was brought back. I don't think it's any secret in this room that there was a lawsuit filed pending the rezoning denial brought by the applicant at the beginning of the year. They did bring an updated site plan. Legal has been with us the entire way. Again, the conditional use is based on where those tanks are. Had those tanks moved or expanded, it would have automatically had to have went back because it would not have been advertised correctly.
I have this, I guess this one last question, and this is to Commissioner Edwards. So your constituents, they're kind of okay with this project being where it is.
That's y'all constituents or the citizens of that area okay with this plan like it is? With the ones I have talked with, is a sigh of relief, to be honest. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor? Can we have discussion? And we just did, you got some more discussion?
Yeah, I motion in a second. We got ready for discussion, right?
We discussed it now. You want to discuss?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be as brief as possible. When this project first was brought before us, I started hearing of it over a year ago, I guess. Maybe not quite that long, but it scared me. And my baseline has always been the brick store overlay. So, we eventually came before the board. It was denied, I believe, and then we come back 60 days ago, and from what I understand, we have an agreement. I'm ready for a cheeseburger, and I'm ready for a donut. So, and I'm ready for that to take place in that particular area, as long as it complies with the brick store overlay. Only to get in here and find out that we and the applicant differ on as a big surprise, we differ on the 100-foot setback. I think that was a surprise to a lot of people. So that meeting went south. I believe Ms. Leanne mentioned that, you probably mentioned that meeting. So here we are later, and we've beaten each other up in a couple of negotiation type meetings. And I believe we've eliminated the prospect of a travel center that includes overnight truck stops, overnight trucking, overnight parking, overnight no showers, no laundry. We've eliminated those elements of a truck stop. I use that word, truck stop. So we fought that battle, and we've reached a point now to where I believe we've reached a settlement. And somebody mentioned the hours. Those hours were part of the negotiation. So that's how we arrived at those hours. 1 hour difference, by the way. I also have to look at another element in the citizenry in that particular area. There were a surprising number that wanted this type of facility. I was not one of those. I wanted something along the lines of what we first negotiated. But this facility, I believe, as best we can, is going to meet the needs, some of the needs of the citizenry there, and add another element of tax revenue. So I believe we've struck a good balance here in terms of what we're going to get. Additionally, and I'll say this lastly, I was absolutely adamant this has to conform to the brick store overlay because it's going to be the opening project in that particular area going from I-20 south. So I wanted to ensure we had a very, very nice facility that in turn, that also met some of the needs, the basic needs of the community in terms of gas and fuel, and the convenience store, and even the restaurants, while eliminating the possibility of the trucking element. So that's how I arrived at my decision anyway. And that's why I'm supporting the main motion to pass this particular conditional use permit.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Cowell, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All in favor? All opposed?
I'm sorry, I've lost connection there. I'm in favor, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote again. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. All opposed? Thank you. It passes 3-2. Thank you. Ms. Judy?
The next item before you this evening for consideration is appeal case APP 21-000002. The original case number is VAR 21-000009. The name of the applicant is Walt Freeman. The address of the property is 325 Mountain View Drive on tax parcel 47C-44. The size of the property is 0.6 acres and it's located in District 2. The appeal request is to appeal The Board of Zoning Appeals decision, which denied on July 22nd, 2021, to be allowed to have an accessory structure, which is an existing carport, to be located between the home and the street. The applicable standards is section 510-02082 of the Newton County zoning ordinance, which says all accessory buildings or structures shall be located in the rear yard or in the side yard, but not in the front yard or between the house and the street, with following exceptions. And I deleted those sections because they did not apply. This property is zoned R2 and not agricultural, so those were in reference to barns. The purpose is to allow an accessory structure, an existing carport, to be located between the home and the street. The potential effects on the county is none if developed with staff's recommended conditions. The potential effects on the neighborhood, even if incorporated with recommended conditions, the structure will still be visible. The recommended conditions are, should the request be approved, staff recommends the board approve the application with the following conditions. 1, VAR 21-000009 is for the existing metal carport only. Number 2, structure shall remain open-sided and shall not be enclosed in any way. This is an aerial view of the property. The property is highlighted there in blue. This is the zoning map, which shows it's in the R2 zoning district. The next is the Commissioner District maps, which shows it is located in District 5. And this is the location of the structure. If you see where the little red box has been populated, that is approximately the location of the structure. We do have photos to show a little better. So this is the applicant's photos. Appeals, variances are based on land hardship. I understand this board doesn't get a lot of appeals, so I do want you to understand that a variance is truly based on whether or not there's a land hardship on the property. As you can see here, if you're looking directly at the house on the right side, the property goes downhill at a pretty steep angle. I think that's about a 6 or 8 foot drop there. And if on the left side, which is the top photo, the property slopes up toward the neighboring lot. So I think that was about a 6 foot drop on that one. This is a picture taken from the side of the property. It is out of the right of way. You will notice that where the driveway comes in, there's a split right before you get to the basketball goal there, and that split is where the county's right of way ends. The next photos, these were taken by staff just so you have a visual of what the structure actually does look like. And that is the applicant's I'm sorry, I've just lost my his plat, the applicant's plat, and that shows what lot he is in the subdivision. And if you have any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer those for you.
Thank you, Ms. We're gonna open it up for the applicant. We're gonna open it up for the applicant and those in favor tonight. You have 10 minutes. Come up and make your comments. The applicant and those in favor, if you would please come and state your name and address for the record, please. The applicant and those in favor, please. You will please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Walt Freeman. I'm the property owner at 325 Mount Vernon Drive, Covington, Georgia. I have lived with this resident now for 20 plus years, and I have seen a lot of change in the neighborhood. Some good and some not so good. Now, I am coming forward today to ask the board for permission to locate the structure in my front yard, for the following reasons. But first, let me add, when I purchased this structure, I primarily purchased it for my vehicles because I have multiple vehicles and I cannot get them all in the garage, and some of them will not even fit into the garage. So with that being said, I'll get to my reasons now. May I get that picture?
Brian, can you put the picture back up where it shows the slope up back?
The right side of my home.
The other way. Go up, the one right below the aerial, right below. Yes, that one, yes, sir. Sorry, Chair.
Okay, as we look at that picture on the right side of my house, the second picture on the right corner, that is an image of the right side of my house. And as it can be seen, there is there's a pretty good bit of slope over there. I want to say it's about 6 foot drop. There are several large trees in this area also, and it is narrow. You cannot locate that structure in that area. It's just too much slope and not enough room. Okay. And as we look at the picture on the left side, that is a picture of the left side of my home. And as you can see, there's some slope in there as well. It is narrow. That's about a 4 or 5 foot drop in elevation. There are trees here also that divide me and my neighbor. And that structure will not fit into that area as well. Now, if I had to use that area right there for a potential driveway to my backyard, I would have to put concrete in because when it rains, that area stays real wet and damp for days after the fact. So if you were to drive a vehicle through here at that time, it's going to be a real muddy mess. Okay, so I would have to put concrete in. Now, if I did that, I would have to cut into that slope and put a retaining wall. Now, if I cut into that slope, now I'm going to damage those roots to those trees that divide me and my neighbor and give us a little privacy with one another. Now, I don't want to cut into those roots and damage those trees, and I'm certainly sure my neighbors don't want me cutting into those roots and damaging those trees. Okay? May I have that image of my septic field?
Oh, I don't know if we have that one. It's in the staff report.
It will be number 12 on the staff report.
We don't have it up there, but it's in their staff report in their books on page 12.
Okay, well, I'll move forward then. Now, that will be a diagram of my septic field and septic tank, which sits on the back left corner of my house. Now, that septic field is about 900 square feet, and it has a drain line that comes off of it that is 300 feet in length. Now, I wouldn't want to be constantly driving my vehicle over this because I think I could do damage to my septic system if I was to do that. Also, I would not want to put concrete over this area for obvious reasons because you have to have access to your septic field or your septic tank. Okay? Now, as far as the structure itself, if that structure, I would not want to locate that structure on there because that structure is being anchored down or held down to the ground with 8 rebar spikes that are 3 feet in length. And for additional support, it is also being held down with 6 anchor bolts that are 2.5 feet long in length. So, for obvious reasons, I wouldn't want to locate that there. Okay, so I'll get to my next reason. Reason number 4. Now I'm talking about the area that is in between where my septic field ends and where my land buffer begins. Now this is not that much room, and that area is being reserved for the replacement septic field if I should ever need one. Okay. Now, reason number 5. Now we're entering into my land buffer. Let me add, it is a well-established land buffer. There's a lot of large trees and a lot of large bushes. Now, I would not want to cut into that land buffer because if I did that, I would be exposed to the Georgia Power easement that starts right there where my land buffer ends. Now, there are people that walk back there on that easement. There are people that ride dirt bikes and four-wheelers back down that easement. There's all types of things that go on back down that easement. So if I was to cut into that, now I'm going to lose all of the privacy that I have and that I enjoy. And I do not want to lose my privacy, okay? Now, reason number 6. Now, my yard has a drain, but it comes with a problem. Now, that drain runs off the main road, it runs under the slope that's on the left side of my house, and runs out into my land buffer. Now, if I go cutting into that land buffer, now I'm going to be exposed to all of the trash that runs off the street into that drain and falls out into my land buffer. That would mean I would be looking at all of your McDonald's bags, all of your Coca-Cola bottles, all of the potato chip bags. You know, I've seen everything come out of that drain. So I wouldn't want to cut into that land buffer because of those reasons. Now, this brings me to reason number 7 and my final reason. Now, I had my zoning board hearing about a month ago. And at that hearing, I had letters of support from the adjoining neighbors. I had letters of support from other neighbors in the neighborhood. I had people to show up who I did not know that were in support. I had no opposition whatsoever. 0. Now, may I have that picture with the woman's basketball goal, please? Now, as we take a look at that picture, we can clearly see that structure is in my yard. It is not in the 5-foot right of way. It's not obstructing my vision. It's not obstructing anyone's vision who would drive up and down that road. It is not causing anyone any detrimental effect whatsoever. So with that being said, and for the 7 reasons that I have recently stated, I am respectfully asking the Board of Commissioners for permission to deviate from the ordinance and locate that structure in my front yard. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak in favor, please? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Dr. Evelyn McKee, and this is my husband, Howard McKee. We are neighbors of Mr. Freeman, and we live at 475 Mountain View Drive, Covington, Georgia. We have no opposition to him having his carport up. Matter of fact, we were looking to have one placed ourselves because we have cars that need housing. We have tractor trailers down on our subdivision that park on our street, okay, with big old trucks that hinder sight. I'm in the medical field. I don't see any reason why an ambulance could not find where they need to go. And Mr. Freeman's carport would not obstruct the finding of this. So in all, my opinion, Mr. Freeman's carport is fine. And if this is passed, we would like to get our carport as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's why I married a doctor. My name is Howard McKee. I'm property owner of 475 Mountain View Drive. We are one of the testimonies that did not know him until we came to this hearing on 22nd of July to see what it was about. I've been in my property since July the 6th, July 15th of 2006. I'm enjoying myself in the neighborhood. Wish I was closer down to where he is because a lot of traffic still goes past us to get to the cul-de-sac. The one thing that I had wanted to do, and I didn't get a chance to put this down, but the one with the photos that you have, I really want to see the past. I'm going around, I was looking at it here,
if you don't mind, I know you all can see it. I go past this house every day. And every time I go by, this is the view I get, going and coming back. If you look on the street, nobody parks on the street. Everybody parks on their driveway. He has a tractor trailer business. He never puts his tractor trailer on there. He does that vehicle he has, he can't get it on there. I remember when he built it, I said, I would like to get something like that myself. When we were here the 22nd, there were other issues. I think he mentioned it in the last one, about the distance from the street. There's no obstruction at all, and actually the photo really doesn't do him justice, because when you come down the subdivision, there's a speed bump there, and there's a house and a tree. Until you get to his house, you don't even see that.
Thank you, sir. That's
That's what I wanted to say. I'm in support of him having it. He's been a wonderful neighbor to have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We also allow 10 minutes for those, with that question about public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that want to oppose. You may come at this time. You have 10 minutes to do so. You will please state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone want to oppose today? Anyone want to oppose today? Thank you. That portion of our public hearing is also closed. Commissioner Cowell, Ms. Judy, would you please come back, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask Judy just a couple of questions, please?
Sure can.
Judy, does our code provide for a hardship allowance? And if so, does conditions on a certain lot justify hardship?
Yes, sir. One of the 4 criteria in approving a variance would be whether or not there is a land hardship.
Okay, because it sounds to me like his lot is kind of small. He's got a septic area back there. He's got limited access to his backyard. He's got some grading issues that might be there. I don't think that in other words, I don't think we should require him to do all this extra work in order to put a aluminum temporary garage out there. So I'm just trying to get this in my head. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, and I don't normally like to go against what the planning board and zoning board of appeals has done, because they're very good people and they do a very good job. But I think in this particular situation, there is a hardship on the man's lot that I think we need to rectify. And so I would vote to approve this, or I recommend make a motion to approve this.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
It's been motioned, can you stay for a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowell and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think this, gentleman, came up and he had such a great presentation. I mean, if I wanted to vote no, I couldn't, because it was, it ran on part. And the way a lot, it looked, you could have put it in the back, you could have put it inside, you wanted to be on the septic system. So he had no choice but to put it in front of his home. And so, you know, I think it's a good, I guess we thought it should change or approval. And so I just, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think what Mr. Freeman said at the beginning of his presentation, that caught my ear, was that it was difficult to fit vehicles into the garage in the beginning. So, you know, it begs the question, the previous boards approved a subdivision that was inadequate carport space. So, you know, that's an unanswered question as well. So I tend to agree with Mr. Henderson, and, Mr. Calvin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Commissioner Calvin, aye.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chief. I just want to go back over to, well, we need to make we need to, make a motion to amend the agenda, please. I see the motion that we amend the agenda to add item 10A, discussion, consideration of the release of settlement agreement between Newton County Board of Commissioners and P. Jack Davis and JPC Design and Construction LLC. Seek a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor?
Commissioner Calvin, aye.
It passed 4-0, thanks. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This opportunity that will allow citizens to come up and make comments about agenda topics only. Agenda topics only. If you would, please come and state your name and your address for the record, please. Agenda topics only.
Hello, my name is Ann Newborough, and I live in District 2.
And we can, you fine.
Pardon?
Yeah, go ahead. You good?
And there's two things on the agenda that I wanted to comment on. One is in the consent agenda, and it has to do with vehicles being excessed or surplus. Number one, my comment is, why were they sitting there for a year and therefore needing new batteries? No one even started them. My second comment is, the value is listed as $1,000. Anybody who reads Clark Howard knows that used cars right now are selling like hotcakes. And so that's roughly half the value, because I looked them up, if we sold them. And it could be more, actually. The other thing on the agenda that caught my eye was a discussion of the American Rescue Plan Act, which was just an acronym on here rather than spelling it out, which most citizens wouldn't even know what in the wide world that was. And number two, I heard a rumor that there are some commissioners who would prefer to have a hand in any federal rescue funds and where they get awarded. And I think that that is a recipe for trouble, because it would look like the commissioner would be involved in payola. This should be an unconnected venture. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else, please? Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes tonight. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Maddox. I reside at 7104 Maddox Drive. My comments are in reference to item number 12, the American Rescue Plan. Yesterday, a letter was sent directly to County Manager Ms. Lauren Curry concerning Executive Order 13985, which was composed in collaboration with State Representative Sharon Henderson, House District 13, representatives of the Newton County Municipal Union and the NAACP, the National Action Network Chapter. First of all, I want to confirm that you all are CC to the board, chairman, and all the commissioners. I know you already confirmed it conversation earlier. All the rest of y'all have received of that letter. Okay, great. It's just a recap of basically the American Rescue Plan that was presented by some of the representatives of the organization that I just mentioned 2 weeks ago. And there were 4 questions in there. And I just wanted to know, since it's been 2 weeks, are you all able to provide an answer to those 4 questions concerning the federal dollars from that plan, the American Rescue Plan? And if not, when would you be able to provide us an answer to those 4 questions, as we're all stakeholders for those federal funds? Thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Kerr, for your guidance. And thank each one of y'all commissioners for your public service.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to make comments about agenda topics only? Agenda topics only. Thank you, that is closed. Next on the agenda is the chairman's report. Tonight we're going to ask Ms. Sarah Hall and Mr. Jerry Trivio, you guys please come up. We're going to get an ADA report tonight. ADA and the IDA report tonight.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. Chairman, thank you for having us. We're here for your second quarter, later second quarter, for your JDA update. We'll share with you a couple of things today. There we go. Okay. I want to share with you a couple of things in the new year. This property that you see in front of you here is the new property, also known as Stanton Springs North, that the JDA has now owned and purchased for their continued collaboration and moving forward with economic development. Along with that, we also have within the current park on the south side, another 88.27 acres that you see here along Highway 278 that we're actively marketing and for new prospects as well too. Along with that, and as you can imagine, and we see here today with current mass, we have had previous in-person activities. We are turning much more back to virtual as we are seeing rising COVID numbers not only here but across the country. We're doing a lot more virtual visits. And again, we see project inquiries still continuing to rise even though we are seeing new numbers. Along with that, you can see the new aerial shots from this quarter. This was taken in the early June time period. So you see on your right-hand side, that is Facebook's new data center. Buildings 1 and 2 are very close to complete. And in progress is buildings 3, 5, and 6 in the foreground. And then to your left side is Takeda. And again, they continue with not only construction, but people returning back to work and seeing more visibility there. And another aerial shot coming from the opposite side. You see Takeda and Facebook.
Good evening. We've left that up. That is the 612.34 acres, which we closed on. Actually, that was the close of the Baymar property, which is on the south, which is on the eastern end of the property. The land we're looking at now is the 655 acres purchase. So again, to the south of I-20, lower part of your picture is to the right. Yes. In the foreground of this shot, looking west, with I-20 on the right-hand side, that property closed to Baymar at proceeds of $37,446,147.50. Also received a bond fee of $1.5 million. Baymar contributed $3 million toward the infrastructure. And then this project, which is the second data center, as you all know, no later than 2027, the Development Authority will collect and distribute 88 million over a 20-year period of time. And those payments begin upon the earlier of a CO or 2027. So over 20 years, they'll be averaging $4.4 million paid to the Development Authority. So in the last quarter, we distributed $6.95 million to the counties from the proceeds, from the Baybar proceeds. And then we purchased that earlier view on the north side of I-20 of 665 acres, 0.17 acres, to create what's referred to as the Standing Springs North. And then the last thing financially related we accomplished in the second quarter was adopting the 2021 and the 2022 budget reflecting the latest transactions. So for the third quarter.
Yes, thank you. So in the third quarter, the things that you'll see here is because we've gone into the new site, continuing the same progress, 4 counties working together for the joint effort of recruitment for economic development. We'll see things come back before you pretty soon regarding the revenue sharing agreement and also service delivery, same as we have done on the south side of the park, and again, making it very user-friendly, business-friendly for all 4 counties to work together. And then along with that, you see in the front here, just similar to what you see in the south end of the park, there's a beautiful parkway. The Joint Development Authority is working on a new frontage road that would go along that site as well too. So you'll start to see active construction for their new parkway built out. So again, we're very pleased to be here with you tonight for quarter 2, and we're happy to take any questions.
Any questions, guys? Any questions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jared. Nadia,
Yes, sir.
please.
Well, I'm pleased to be here with you tonight for our first quarterly update for the Development Authority. Since that time, I'd also like to thank the Development Authority. We've had some transition in the office, so I'm now officially the Executive Director of the County Industrial Development Authority. It's great to say those words, and I'm very pleased and honored to be given the task to help represent Newton County across the state of Georgia and even the whole country globally. Along with me here tonight, we've also added a new employee. Our Vice President of Economic Development, Mr. Asher Dozier, is here, a part of the team as well too. I won't go too heavily into this, and I think you know some things, but in the Development Authority, we look at different pieces such as data and infrastructure, and also in recruitment as well. Our current population in Newton County is critical to us for a little over 113,000 people, but I think the interesting fact that you see here is that we grew by almost 9,000 people in the last 5 years, and we're projected to grow by almost 10,000 people in the next 5 years up and coming. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the interesting thing I think that we have here with the growth that's coming with the new people is that the largest group of people coming to the community here in Newton is projected to be anywhere from 25 to 34 years old. So this is a young, vibrant market that's looking to come into our community, young workers wanting to see great jobs come through here. This is always something that's interesting and we track very often in our office. I started back now about 8 years ago in the Office of Economic Development, so back in the age of 2012, and our unemployment rate at that time was 13%. Obviously, you see the spike of COVID that we went through down to up to 6%. Our lowest time period was in 2019 at 3.4%, and currently we sit about 4.8% in 2021. Along that time period too, in the last 5 or so years, counting back from 2020, we have increased job numbers here in Newton County by 10.2%. That is outpacing the national average right now, which is 1.3%. We're outpacing them significantly now to 8.9%. So almost 7 times the amount of us creating jobs here in Newton. And again, why our office is so critical to put Newton first, create Newton jobs, put us in the forefront to be able to bring opportunities here as opposed to anywhere else in the country. Along with that, we've not only put jobs here, but we've also increased the workforce population market, people that are actually getting back into jobs. So that labor force participation, we've upskilled people, we've been able to get them back to work in a significant way. I have the honor and pleasure of being the chair for the Georgia Economic Developers Association for the state of Georgia and the Workforce Development Division. I've sat chairing this for over this will be my second term in this, and we partner with groups like the UGA Carl Vinson Institute to put workforce development webinars and activities together to talk about things. This up and coming one is in August, in about a week, talking about reaching the underemployed and unemployed and great strategies beyond that. Who do we target and why? We target biopharmaceuticals, high-tech companies, data centers, as you see, high-technology manufacturing and aerospace aviation companies, along with corporate headquarters and film, TV, music, and gaming. Just another image of our corridor area here along 20. We have the blessing of having 4 intersections off of 20 that really hit our key partners and projects. And just to give you some aerial shots of some up-and-coming things, as you can see here, this is Covington Town Center, Alcovey Road. The current apartments are going in place. The hotels are under construction. This doesn't show it in this shot. It was taken about a week or 2 early, but Publix has broken ground and many other developments coming through this that are really challenging retail linkage. This is the Lidl site. As you can see, they are ready and pad ready. They will start going vertical very soon. And this is off of the Access Road on the western side of the county. Then 3 Ring Studios, now Cinelink Studios with active projects. They have 4 new developments internally and working on phase 2. And then lastly, we've had multiple inquiries regarding Stanton Grove, which we purchased earlier this year, commercial prospects and as well as industrial prospects. Also too, the Water and Sewage Authority has put out to bid their infrastructure plans to continue to add water and sewer going into the site. And again, we're here for you, so please feel free to ask any questions and work with us. But again, we just thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, have any questions? Commissioner Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Church. What are our plans for small businesses here in Newton County, Covington County, against all of Newton County?
I'm sorry, what did you ask?
What's your,
It's okay.
what are our plans for small businesses here in Newton County?
Great.
And this is a question that our customers give us, kind of saying that, what about us?
Yeah.
What are the terms?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. And so we actively work with not only the large business, but small business too. Our chamber president, Debbie Harper, sits on the Industrial Development Authority. We partner quite often with the Chamber of Commerce. We've held, whether it's webinars or activities, we work heavily with the Small Business Development Center with UGA. But we are here and available to do site placement. We're here to connect them with plans, with business licenses, however we need to work. We often work with the city and the county on trying to walk people through that effort, but we have a great relationship with the chamber as well as the Small Business Development Center in Athens to be able to service anyone. And all of those options at Small Business Development Center are free.
And just one last follow-up question. How many small businesses have we helped maybe this year or last year?
That's a great question. Countless. I mean, I'm happy to file a report and show you directly who that is and provide you those numbers back. Absolutely.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Next, Mr. Kerr.
Okay, next. This is our staffing report. We had 7 new hires and 18 separations during this month. Next slide, please. And here's our building permits that have been issued. We've had a total of 133 and 145 processed. Primary residential is beginning to move back up again. There's just 69 there and 63. Next slide, please. Some of the work orders, the number of work orders that were processed.
for each district. The LNA resurfacing projects so far during the past month. Some of those. Also, some of the other projects still working on the tree and sidewalk repair down in Riverwalk. We finished on the Pitch Chapel Road repair, and then we had the water line blew out over there at Kirkland Road, and so we had to do some emergency repairs there. We've been working on the kickball field over at Nelson Heights. Then we've got to do some, also work on getting the fence up in the backstop. But that project is Department COVID snapshot. You can see the number of cases that we've had so far, and total number of deaths. Total number of cases that have been reported in the last 15 days here. See, the numbers are moving up again. This is a result of the Delta variant that we're experiencing right now. Next slide, please. This is the overview of the total numbers, age distribution, race distribution, and so forth for the week ending, I believe it's 8/12. Next slide, please. All of this information is available on our website. Vaccination, total numbers of vaccinations. We're at 33.5% fully vaccinated, 38% have received at least one dose. We're getting a little bit better. I think the outbreak of the numbers of people that have had the Delta variant, those numbers have increased. We have seen an increased number of vaccinations. So that has improved that number somewhat. Moved up from the 36% of one vaccination to 38% over the last couple of weeks. Still, we'd like to encourage everyone to get vaccinated, as it does appear that is one of the things that can be done to help minimize the spread. The next slide, please. We did get our census results back on the Bicentennial tract. And you can see this first slide here shows you our population, the numbers that we have differ a little bit from what Sarah had there. But 112,493 is our population versus what you see around us. 29,000 for Morgan County, 14,000 down in Jasper. Rockdale at 93,000. Gwinnett, I believe, if I can read that, 967,000. DeKalb, 764. Fulton's over 1 million, and so on. Most all of the greater metro Atlanta counties had increases in population. Some of the far outer counties did actually lose. Wilkinson actually down there, I looked at the sheet today, showed well, you can look here at this next slide. You can see where we're growing at 12.5% growth rate since 2010. There's a couple over here, Baldwin County actually lost population, Oglethorpe County lost population. Some of the other counties that are growing at a great rate, Morgan, Oconee, Walton. Jasper County only had a 4% growth rate. Some of the other ones lost that were close to us. 1.1 in Jones, Wilkinson 7.7, DeKalb 15% with that. I believe that's 15%. It's a little blurry on the paper that I have. But you can see Metro Atlanta area continuing to grow, and we're a part of that. Next slide, please, Brian. This is a map of the number of the census tracts that we had in 2010. There was a total of 10 census tracts in the county at that time. Because of our increased population, we now have 22 total census tracts. So this is going to be important for us when we begin to do our discussions on redistricting. which we will begin in the not too distant future. We will be taking a look at that. School system, Board of Education, along with the Board of Commissioners have the same voting districts. So we'll begin that process, as I said, in the not too distant future to see what the populations were in those districts, and then we'll be getting together to determine how to draw what needs to be shifted or what may not need to change in the commission districts. So next slide, please. Couple of announcements about the Bicentennial Legacy Brick Program. We'd like anyone who is interested to purchase a commemorative brick. They're $75 each. You can have the name of your family commemorated if you would like to have a particular loved one. Maybe the name of your wife or husband or significant other, and have that commemorated, or name of the child or grandchild. Commemorated $75 is the cost, and these will be placed in the park that is located adjacent to the administration building. And so we're looking to have that filled up with the names and special tributes to the people from Newton County here as part of our bicentennial celebration. Next slide, please. District 4 will be having a service day Saturday, September 18th, 9 a.m. at Nelson Heights Community Center. This is in conjunction with Eat Newton Beautiful, and this is helping us again a bicentennial celebration, helping to give the back to the community for our 200th year. Anybody who's interested in signing up to help clean up in that area, please contact Eat Newton Beautiful. The phone number's there. All of this information again is listed. It is on our web pages and our social media pages as well. And finally is our Newton County Bicentennial Awards. There are several areas of service and so forth where people can nominate businesses or nominate individuals for the Bicentennial Award, and you'll be able to see the various categories for these awards. And again, if you will consult our web pages and our social media for those, and you can fill out the nominations, and then they will be presented at a special award ceremony when we have our final award ceremony at the end of our, close to the end of our bicentennial issue. So, thank all of you, and hopefully we'll have good nominations and participation. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lord, September 18th, cleanup day, we are in the City Cup Council. And we have joined with the City Cup to try to make both dates. And I can't remember the date that we have cleanup, but we combined to have a couple of cleanup dates, and we work with the City Cup and the mayor. We have just a great, big, good cleanup day in the community, just working together. Secondly, what's more the issue is the American Rescue Funds. When are we going to have some type of meeting or work session? Okay, great. I was told I can understand we may have to see.
Yeah,
we need to help about that. Thank you.
Anything else? Commissioner Sanders.
Lord, is there a way that Brian outlined testing sites that are in Newton County? I had a lot of questions about where are the drive-through testing sites in Newton County. I know the ones in Rockland that they were asking where they were in Newton since the numbers are rising. school system. A lot of parents are looking for those.
Yeah, sure, we can get a list of those.
Anyone else? Thank you. Next is, unfinished business. Newton County Water Sewage Authority, City of Templeton request approval of SDS plan agreement to provide improvement water and sewage services to the citizens in the unincorporated areas of Newton County. I understand there's a need to table this, is that correct?
I make a motion.
Yeah?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make some comments with that. I had spoken with, several people, including Mike Hopkins of Newton County Water and Sewer Authority, one day earlier this week, and, last week. And I would ask that we table this for another 30 days pending a meeting between myself, Mr. Hopkins, the appropriate other parties with the county, yourself included, and the city code. For a period of, table for a period of 30 days.
Yeah. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Edwards that we table this, and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye from Commissioner Cowan.
Thank you. Same table, 30 days. Next is consent agenda. I seek a motion that we approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye from Commissioner Cowan.
Thank you, sir. It passes 5-0. Next is item number 10, board discussion and consideration, Finance Department adoption of FY 2021 millage rate and resolution number 08172-021, resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Newton County, Georgia, adopting the millage rate for the 2021 property taxes. I seek a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, it's time I'd like to make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2021 millage rate and resolution number 08172-021, resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Newton County, Georgia, adopting the millage rate for 2021 property taxes.
Second.
It's been motion by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor?
Commissioner Cowan's aye.
Commissioner Henderson? Okay, thank you. That passes 5-0. Next is item number 11, board discussion consideration, county manager, task order C4, amendment number 1, fire station, number 2 and 4, project management services, amendment to extend ascension time and man hours to provide oversight and management.
Revision 10A.
Oh. In it, I'm sorry. Go back to 10A. Request to amend discussion and consideration of the recent release settlement agreement between the Newton County Board of Commissioners, T. Jack Davis and JPC Design and Construction LLC. Mr. Carter.
Do the motion.
You want to introduce it, or you want to make a motion? Make a motion. Make a motion.
Motion to authorize the chairman of the Board of Commissioners to execute on behalf of the county upon execution of both plaintiff's signatures.
Can I get a second?
Commissioner Cowan seconds.
Need a motion to approve? There's been a motion to approve by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? Commissioner Sampson.
I don't have a discussion, can we just inform the citizens what it's about? Like you asked her before to introduce it,
You want to introduce
so they know what we're going on.
The item is the resolution of the resolution for the settlement between us and Judge Petroleum Company in relation to the lawsuit that we had for the pending conditional use permit on the property located at the intersection of Georgia Highway 11 and Interstate 1.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we talking, I think the addition 12 acres, that we talking about, I know.
I'm sorry.
We talking about, yes, the rezoning, the addition of 12 acres for rezoning, I guess, some type of commercial. That we talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Try to be sure.
Anything else? Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor?
Commissioner Cowan, aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, it passes, 3-2. Next is item number 11. Task order for C4 amendment, number 1, fire station number 2 and 4, project management services amendment to extend ascension time and man hours to provide oversight and management. Cost $86,580. Mr. Kirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to correct in part of the item on the agenda, the cost for this task force for this amendment is not $86,000. The cost is actually $33,580. The total cost for this particular task order is $86,580. But the cost for this amendment is $33,580. In brief, what this is an amendment to that task order due to the fact that fire station number 4 was to be constructed almost simultaneously with fire station 8, because originally that project had been awarded to the same contractor, and we subsequently had to remove that contractor and release him from that bid, so we had to rebid it, which required additional management time, and it's going to require additional project management activity, and will extend the amount of time that the project managers had to spend on Station 8, and then as well as what he will additionally have to do for Station 4 and Station 2. Jeff Prime of the Census Program Management is here in the event that you should have any questions about this particular thing.
Thank you, sir. I seek a motion, guys. I think this is, Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve task order C4, amendment 1, fire stations number 2 and 4, project management services. Amendment to extend ascension time and man hours to provide oversight and management. Total cost of $33,580.
Can I get a second, please?
Commissioner Cowan seconds.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Lloyd, I think I heard you mention this, these funds will go to support in some way stations 84 and 2.
Right, actually, yes, most of the work, a good bit of work has already been done because of the delays that have been caused. Some of the delays have already been eliminated, but a good bit of it was because of the putting together the new bids and putting together the new RFQ and went out to bid. And then also the additional, in the future, there will be the additional program or project management time is going to be complete because we couldn't run the project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Cowan?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Pass 5-0.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 12, board discussion consideration. On the ARPA fund. Mr. Kirk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian, we did bring those slides up. ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. A lot of people are calling this the CARES Act. The CARES Act was in 2020. This is a completely separate bill. And CARES Act money is gone. I know it's a little bit of confusion because it came on the heels of the other, but this is a separate act. Our total allocation is $21,704,962. We received the first half of it, I believe they call it a tranche or tranche. Anyway, the first half is $2,852,481. Received that on May 20th. And as we understand it, we should receive the other half 1 year from that first disbursement. And so we should be getting the other half May 20th, 2022. That's as it stands now. Of course, that's all subject to, could change. We were promised $9 million, I think, originally in the CARES Act, and we got a little less than half of that. So, but in any event, that's what we go. Next slide. There's two key dates. We have to obligate the funds by December 31st, 2024, and you obligate them by encourage some kind of a issue of purchase order and encourage them in that way. But you've got to obligate the funds. But you don't have to spend them until December 31st, 2026. But any project that you start has got to be completed by December 31st, 2026. So there is a significant amount of time involved here. They did give the county's time, CARES Act, it was rush, and it was a very shortened timeline. Next slide. All right. According to the U.S. Treasury, there's 5 primary ways to use funds. One is to support the public health response, and that is fund COVID-19 mitigation efforts. One of the things about these particular funds are, you have to make the connection back to COVID-19. You gotta make that connection somehow. So, this is, you fund COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, certain county public health, public safety, human services, and other related staff, address negative economic impacts, respond to economic harms to workers, families, small businesses, impacted industries, and even rehiring public sector workers, including county staff. And you can rehire people and this really goes to rehiring people to pre-COVID staffing levels, if and only, and there's a lot of qualifiers in here, And I mean, this could be a 3-hour presentation, believe me, but I tried to narrow it down. But it's only if those persons lost their job due to COVID. We couldn't rehire them if you know, I can't think of them off the top of my head now, but it has to be related to COVID. We could only rehire them if we needed to lay them off because we had a reduction in our tax revenues and we couldn't afford to keep them because of COVID. It has to be related to COVID. Replace public sector revenue loss use. We didn't have that. Quite frankly, we got more money during COVID than we did the year before. And we're still getting more money. So thank the Lord, we have been very, very blessed. Use funds to provide government services to the extent of the reduction, et cetera. And this part allows for a really broad use of the funds. There's some instances where the ARPA is very restricted, and in other cases, it's very broad. Next slide, please. Next two ways, premium pay for essential workers. But again, this is highly restricted. There's a lot of talk about this where you can pay up to $13 an hour premium pay. But again, if you read it here, it says, who have faced and continue to face the greatest health risks due to their service. Now, under the CARES Act, we were able to give, we used it primarily for public safety salaries. Well, we didn't have to, there really was not the impetus or the importance put on establishing exactly how they were subjected, people were subjected to it. There was just a general belief that because you were a public safety person or because you happened to work in an office and you served the public, that you were under a serious threat. Under this act, you really have to make that connection. So just because we would not be able to do the same thing we did before, where just because we stayed in business, we were able to give employees the premium pay. We can't do that this time. Really, you've got to tie it back to that COVID. You've got to tie it. It's really for people like healthcare professionals, nurses in a hospital. If we ran a hospital, they are the type of people who would be who really this is ideally set up. And somebody who deals with it all the time, and it's only for those hours that they are spending specifically attending to patients with COVID-19. I mean, it's very restricted. Now, that's not to say that people are out there not doing, everybody gets $2,500 or whatever. That's not to say they're not doing it, but if we reading through this, it appears to be much more restricted. All right, and the last way is water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. To make necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water, invest in wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and provide unserved or underserved locations with new or expanded broadband. Unserved or underserved means essentially anybody that gets 25 megabytes per second speeds for their internet service. It means you're unserved or underserved. Either you don't have it at all, or you have less than 25 megabytes. Next slide. So those are the primary goals. All right, the coverage period, it begins on March 3rd, 2021, and it ends on so anything that's happening between March 3rd, 2021 and December 31st, 2024, that's the coverage period. Now there are some exceptions. They go back to some of the earlier to 2020, but again, that's sort of the devil's in the details. All right, there's a lot of flexibility in responding to public health needs and negative impacts. The term government services, because there's this, you'll see this in a lot of it, as to what government services that you can use the money for has to do with what services you weren't providing because you didn't have revenue to provide. That's very broad, and that's the only way we can pay for government services is if we lost revenue. So again, that's the way it applied to us. I put it up here because it's part of the bill. All right. Next thing, now, the interim rule, this is one other thing I'll make a point a little bit later. There are no final rules. We still do not have the final rule for distribution, for reporting, for eligible expenses, ineligible expenses. It still is very much up in the air. So we don't have final guidelines. We've got some pretty good interim guidelines and they appear, but we still don't have the final guidelines. So anyway, so it says they may support necessary investments in drinking water, waste, and stormwater, high quality broadband. For water, stormwater, and sewer investments, the interim rule aligns eligible projects with the EPA stuff and those things. All right, for broadband investments, you have to meet at least 100 megabytes of service. So any new broadband would have to be for 100 megabytes. That's what, we talked a little bit, we talked about Paul Chambers the other day, Chairman. He was talking about 100 megabyte service. It has to be wireline. Or they talk a lot about wireline, but there are other ways to do that. So wherever practical. So next slide. All right. Now I'm going to go through kind of a laundry list of potential uses. This is not by any means the be all, the end all list. These are some of the things that I saw in the literature that I reviewed. I reviewed stuff from ACCG, I reviewed stuff from NATO, I looked at Treasury, some of the briefs they had, I looked at Government Finance Officers Association's websites. These are some of the things that this is to give you an idea of what the availability is, based on what we know today. That may change tomorrow, based on what we know. All right. Vaccination programs, including the pay for staffing, equipment supply facility testing, supporting isolation and quarantine, paid sick and family medical leave. So right now there is no federal program like we had in the past that paid for COVID-19 leave. If we went out sick on COVID-19, there was money available to pay for leave. That's not available now. But if we as a county said, look, we want to take a portion of our ARPA funds and make it available so that when people do get sick with COVID and are out, then instead of them using their sick leave or their vacation time, they can use these funds. So that's emergency medical expenses, including medical transportation, communication, for vaccination programs that we have to pay. If we decided, if we lived in the closer, we had our own television station. We could pay for television. Purchasing PPE, and if we were to just, when we go in and spray down the areas like the offices, people get sick, all of those supplies are paid for next. Prevention and mitigation in congregate living, nursing homes, jails and incarceration. Anytime we have to do cleaning, anytime that we provide for, we can assist them by providing for PPEs and helping them provide for cleaning services. Homeless shelters and schools. If school system has stuff, but if for some reason they weren't able to provide that, we could set aside some of that to assist those people if the board decided to do that. You see there ventilation improvements. If we needed to improve the ventilation system at the public health building, this would be an opportunity for us to do that. Capital investment. We had to do some remodeling to what we have as public health facility, or if there were clinics that were again we wanted to set aside money to do that. But again, it has to be tied somehow. Has to be tied back to COVID-19 because of COVID-19. We have to put up there because of COVID-19. We have to have large enhanced behavioral and mental health services. We currently provide help to newborn health. It may be that you need help when you ramp up their appropriate. Now, addressing disparities in public health outcomes. This is where a part of the bill is targeted to a lot of part of what has happened is it has shown up some of the disparities in a lot of minority communities with not appropriate health care. And so if you have that in the community, then this is where you want to set aside money to make sure that there's that the hospitals are providing the right kind of care, ambulances you provide for pickup and all that in all communities. Support public health workers, food assistance if you have people who are, where this all comes down to, that people have lost their jobs and have reached work, but they're not making enough, so they can't afford to buy as much food. That in the event the county wanted to support a food bank, have money set aside to do that where people can obtain food. Rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. That's something now that the state is handling, but it could be something that the county could handle if they wanted to do that. Counseling, legal aid for eviction and homelessness. And again, that's something that the county can take on. Internet access of digital literacy assistance. Job training related to a worker's occupation or level of training impacted by the again, next thing. Assistance to small business and nonprofits, premium pay for essential workers. Aid to impacted industry. They specifically talk about tourism and travel and all, but it could be any of the industries that we have. And that is pretty, it's pretty broad. They don't really define that, but it's pretty broad. I mean, it could be anything from assisting them with training people. Right now, we've got a big it could be helping them to recruit people. Part of that, could be caused by COVID because so many people who are out of work. If there's a connection there, if there's a way to make that connection, and I'm not sure what. Rehiring employees, which I mentioned, water pollution control, stormwater runoff control, clean water is a big thing. So you want to be able to do that. Some of the ineligible expenses, right off the top, we're going to do things like legal settlements. You can't use the money to replace tax revenue. So in order for you to reduce your taxes, so you can't do that. You can't use it as a match for non-federal dollars. Economic or workforce development, unless they directly address the negative economic impacts of you can't use it for general infrastructure spending outside of water, sewer, and broadband. You can't go pay for those the only things you can't use it to bring down your debt. All right, a couple of things I wanted to make about this. There are no final rules, as I mentioned. So we're still waiting on the final rules, although the interim guidelines are pretty good. And I think they will, any final rules will pretty well follow the interim rules. However, there may be changes to the reporting, and there may be changes to what is eligible. And I think those are going to be some of the big things. All right. One of the other things that I did have found out, the larger counties in metro Atlanta are the ones who are generally moving ahead and getting things set up. Right? On our listserv today, there were 10 counties that were on there today that have, they're kind of in the same boat. They're in the same boat that we are. They're in the planning stage. ACCG and GFOA have advised everybody to move cautious, to plan very carefully, mainly because this last week. If money is, and it's like the CARES Act, if money is expended on ineligible projects or ineligible expenses, then the county would have to pay Treasury Department back. So, there is, they're advising people to be very cautious. So anyway, here's what my plan for this is. We do not have the personnel, and I have the expertise to manage this program. So, my recommendation, and this is what I'm working, we're working currently to develop a request for an RFQ request for qualification and proposal for a consultant to completely administer this program. This would be somebody who would come in and some of the things that I put in the scope was they would do community needs assessment and analysis so that they would take a complete look at the community to see what are the things that are needed in the way of personal assistance, what's needed for businesses in terms of assistance, industry, and so on. Look at the total picture and see where it needs to be. Develop a project, develop the criteria for what makes somebody eligible, and what do they have to prove to be eligible for the fund. Essentially following a lot of what the state guidelines have already been set up. For instance, in some of the guidelines that we had originally established when we were looking at the CARES Act, so many years, if you're a 501c3, what they has to be registered with the state, or with the business, when you have how many years you've been in business, producing financial records to show that your business will be, and so on. Payroll records that you're trying to get, if you're asking for money to help. Establishing things like, okay, what is the max? Making a recommendation. What is the max that should be given to each business? $2,500, $5,000, $10,000. How much should go to each individual, each household? That kind of thing. Development of each project, whether it's assistance to households, how much should be allocated out of that? The broadband, how much out of that should go to broadband? Well, they would do all that, present all of their findings, and present the recommendation to the board consideration. The board would have the final say-so on what, and that would be up to all the states. Yeah, we agree with ABCD, but we don't like EFBA. And come together and approve a program to move forward. Then these folks would move forward with the program and then do periodic reporting to you all on distributions, how many, what number of clients they dealt with, so on and so forth. And then operate the program all the way through until the closing, which will be into if there are projects that would run through to 2026, then they would be around. They would still be engaged by the county to continue with those projects to make the disbursements and the report, do all of the reporting that's necessary that has to go with that. So the idea is to really do this through a third party that gives us an independent third party that will be handling it for us, and then it also gives us the ability to have subject matter experts do it, as opposed to us who don't have the personnel and don't have the So that's what I intend to suggest. I think that's the best thing. Because then we'll have someone that does give us some accountability. It also gives us, I think, some flexibility. And I believe it's the best way to keep us in our own strength. Thank you, sir. Commissioner, any questions? Commissioner Mason? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lord, I just want to ask, with the presentation that you just presented to us, have you actually looked at a timeline of when this should begin, when we will get a consultant in place, when they'll start working on it? And then in addition to the timeline, what would be the cost for the consultant to be able to come in and do this? And do we have budgeted funds to be able to pay the consultant to come in and actually do or run this program for us?
I anticipate to have the RFQ completed within the next 30 days and put it out on the street. As far as the consultant would go, they would be paid out of the ARPA funds. There's administrative costs that can be taken out of the ARPA funds. Excuse me. I don't know what we'd have to do. I'd have to look to see how much is allowed, and then that will be part of the negotiation. It depends on the individual program that we see. I haven't seen a number yet, but I just have to look for it. So hopefully we would have somebody. We would put it out for 30 days. So hopefully we would have. Well, I'm hoping that we would have a good, quick response, and we could get somebody in here, do the review and all that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders. Kind of echoing a little bit what Commissioner Mason stated. My only issue with the consultant is taking those funds out of that, the 10 million that we see that will be going to the city. You and I have had numerous conversations about this. I've been talking about this in March when we first found out about it. And so our neighboring counties, United Way, is distributing funds. And some of the other counties, Salvation Army is lost just as well. So I think we should look at that because they're doing it now. They already know the process and procedure, and they are a non-profit agency. So we don't have to pay as much as the contractor. That's going to take away from the funds. A lot of people mentioned here would be that I did a suggestion to the board that you mentioned, giving to the homeless and comparison that I heard a minute ago that Commissioner said something like a bribe. So I think I was one of the suggestions. So with regard to sending money to the homeless, our renters that are suffering right now, a lot of counties are already doing that. They've been doing that since they first received care and loses behind the ball. So we need to really get on this. United Way and Salvation Army has already done it and have that process that they've been doing this in larger counties. That means that they have a process that we can start helping citizens get what they need versus holding on to something that has made sense.
Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Whatever happened to, what I'm saying is I know we're behind the 8 ball. And I know there have been meetings that have been going on, there have been Zoom meetings. So why, I thought we were going to bring it at some point, I thought more sooner than later, the citizens that come in and just tell us the kind of what they're looking from us for. And have those meetings, the ones that have spoke with me and kind of grabbed my ear was the one that came and just really talked. It's like you're doing at a zoning meeting. come up here and stand out and just kind of tell us what we need. I know the Salvation Army locally has did a very excellent job. They helped a lot of people in the community, like in Dade County. They just reach out and help people. And also the United Way too as well. I believe that you might need a little bit of some oversight, not from the county, but I don't think it was ever of a consultant. But I think it's very important to have the input of the people, and especially the ones who suffer, to come in and just tell us what they need and how we can assist them. It's a lot of them out there who need help. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Henderson brought up a good point. And Commissioner Sanders, when we talk about possibly incorporating United Way or Salvation Army, and Lord, maybe this is something we can look into. If we were to utilize those organizations, would that eliminate our community feedback, or would the United Way or the Salvation Army be open to hearing what the Newton County citizens have to say about how those funds are allocated, or do they already have a framework in place where it would actually eliminate consume or our constituents or our community feedback on the allocation of the funds?
I don't know, but part of the scope of work that whoever we wind up working with, the intention was, the first thing was to do a community needs assessment. I mean, that was part of it, was to engage the community so that they could get some idea of what, where the money is needed. Is it rent, or is it food? There's a lot of people that need food.
Kind of like we did with the strategic plan.
Yeah, exactly. Was to do community engagement so that they could get that, I mean, it could be that as we work through this, that it may be that it would be more productive to have one group, for instance, handle businesses and infrastructure, and another group like the United Way or Salvation Army handle human services. If you understand what I'm saying. That may be the appropriate way to do that. At this point, I would like to be able. I think it would be great to work with one group simply because it's simplified. Only because of that, but it may be that's what we need to do. I know when we had talked with Salvation Army before we had the CARES Act people, part of what we were going to need to do there was they needed funds because they had overhead administrative costs that they were going to need to collect because they were going to have to hire a number of additional caseworkers. That's understandable because of the number of people that they anticipated serving and a lot of discussion. Plus, there was office equipment and some other things that we had to purchase. So, whoever we use is going to be a cost associated. But it may be less on the United States. But whatever that's what we're working on. But yeah, definitely, if we get input from the community, so that we know that side what is needed, and then the board will make a decision on how much money goes to what, so that the board can. The board, that's y'all's decision to make that. Anticipating what's going to be needed. I think the other part of that is having some subject matter experts who can help to project before you can get it, you're going to need to think about how you want to allocate how you want to allocate the additional 10 million. You got this 10 million, so you want to make sure you add the two pots of money together. So I think that's another thing that would be beneficial. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I just had one other comment. We had hosted some meetings for people to come and tell me over last night how they would like for the some of the 10 million or whatever was going to be spent in the community, how they like for it to be spent. And there was a lot of organization. I think Mr. Maddox from the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, he came in and he had kind of explained different ways that the money could be distributed within the community. And I thought it was a great idea. And I think gentlemen like him and our others in the community, we should take out the time to listen, because I think there's other counties other than just us who have listened to their plans and plans they may have that may benefit us as a community and hopefully help get the money to people, excuse me, people who needs it. We need it now, not tomorrow, but now. In fact, we're about 6 months behind, not more. So we need to help them. So anyone who could come and give us advice, I'm willing to listen. Because the bottom line, at the end of the day, we want to help the community people as we can. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I just want to add, I love statistics. I love stats. And thank you, Megan knows kind of like the beat, and we love stuff like that. But with our county being 112,000 citizens, and look at that on the census view, pull it up. We're 9.6% poverty. That's 11,000 people here in the county that are poverty. So that means that they were definitely hurting during the pandemic. So that was the reason why my big issue was we need to help the people. We need to do something, because if we already had 9.6% that were impoverished, and it could be more because everybody didn't fill out the census. So it could be more than 11,000 in this county. I know some of us don't see it because we don't live around it. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But they are people that are in need of these funds.
So Mr. Kerr, once you with the RFP, want to bring it back to the board?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I can. Sure, if you'd like me to do that, I'd be glad to do that.
Next step.
Well, the next step would be for me to complete the RFP and get it out on the street, and then to once we make a selection, then bring the contract back to you all. I mean, in the meantime, certainly the board, if the board wants to conduct community meetings or whatever, I mean, certainly that would be fine. I mean, as a matter of fact, it'd probably be a good idea. And then when you do meet with whoever the selection is, then you can pass on all the information that you obtain. I mean, I think that would be a good thing. You know, if you wanted to have a work session or whatever, to where anybody could come and say their piece and tell y'all what they're thinking. I mean, I think that would be absolutely fine. And for individuals or for businesses or whatever. I mean, again, the key thing to remember on this is that people need to remember that this is it's related to COVID. So if you've got somebody that lost their business because of what happened in COVID, this would be a good opportunity for them to come and tell y'all what happened. And, so scheduling something like that, or scheduling somebody who's had gotten into dire straits because they lost their job or because they got downsized because COVID closed. I mean, I went to interesting today. I went over to Popeye's fried chicken to get a chicken sandwich for lunch. And there was nobody there. The lady answered the window and she said, I'm sorry, I'm not open, but she said, I'm waiting on somebody to come to work. I'm thinking, oh, where is everybody going? And then I went to another place and it was closed. So, there's a lot of people that aren't able to work too because of maybe their sicknesses made them not what they can't work. So we've got a lot of things that are going on. And, but anyway, it would be good to have them come and tell you what's going on, tell us why they think why is it that they lost their job, and what do they need? Some people need food, some people need help with the rent, other people need job training. And there's money available in the funds, in these funds for that. Some people need access to internet, and that's another thing. There's a lot of people in the county that don't have internet for one reason or another. I think we got a statistic from AT&T yesterday. It said, well, 4,000 families that don't have any internet. 4,000 homes that don't have any internet. And this is in a day and age when you got to have a telephone, So there's a lot of good things we could do with this money. And as soon as I get that, we'll move on. But in the meantime, it certainly having a work session would be great. Probably get not something else. So we'll probably need to schedule 2 work sessions. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one final comment. I had talked so much about the young ladies over at the housing projects. I think about 30 families who were going to be put out there with them women and children. And I couldn't sit down. Excuse me. I had to get up. I had to go over there, and we had to have a discussion about the young ladies being put out. And glory be to God. I think the CDC had extended for 30, 60 more days before they'd be put out. So I just want to commend Miss Denise Williams because she went to her church. She was so concerned about them. And she called me over there. She said, and she was handing out checks to the families from her church to help those people. Because when you go to somebody's home, it's not about the grown folks. It's about the kids. And we want them to stay in their homes. And if we could step up like that, we had the heart like that, I think this kind of be a better place. This whole state would be a better place. This whole country, this whole world would be a better place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, sir. Next on the agenda is board special consideration of 278. 3ID seeking to apply for the LCIPE grant designed in phase 2 at Emory Street and Hospital Drive. They're asking for a support letter. Captain Morgan and her team is here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy Morgan to explain what this grant is and so forth.
With me tonight, I have Sam Hay and Ken Gaylord. They're on our board. And we have sent a request for a letter of support. Both the first one is to GDOT for the application, which is the Livable Centers Initiative for PE, which is Preliminary Engineering Only Grant. And they had a call for this grant that is due August 27th. This is for phase 2. Our application is for phase 2, which is from Emory Street to Hospital Drive, which is the driveway into the hospital. In the past, you have supported us on everything we've done, so we want to thank you very much for your support. But we need this letter of support to ask GDOT to get a letter of support from them for this grant And then the second letter that I asked you for is a letter of support that will be supplemented with the grant. And all we're asking you is your support. The CID has the funds available for the PE portion of this grant. We're not asking you for funding at this point, or we don't anticipate it in the future unless we start construction. And I'm always going to be in for something, but we're only asking for these letters of support. I did send an amended letter that goes with the grant that specifies that you support the project, but there are no county dollars committed to this. That the Highway 278 CID will be funding the matching dollars, and the city of Covington, of course, will be our partner on the grant application. The city heard us last night. They are having a work session on the 24th and a called meeting because they have to pass a resolution. It is not because of the fact that they're a lead partner in the grant. And that is not the case for the county because you will have no funds committed, and you will not be our lead partner or sponsor on this specific grant. Any questions?
Any questions, guys? I seek a motion, please. Commissioner Cowell. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Can I get a second, please? It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowell and it's second, I guess by Commissioner Mason and Commissioner Henderson. I didn't hear who was first. But it's been second by both of them. Any discussion? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Henderson. Yeah.
Hey, did we fail? Thank you, man. I'm young. I'm getting younger. I wrote there in 278, and I almost got lost. I tell you the reason why I look so good. I said, "Where am I at? Am I in Newton County?" And it's a great job you're doing.
Thank you. I will say we just did some numbers, and since we started this program in 4 years ago, in 2017, to the tax valuations for this year, we've increased the tax valuations through investments, redevelopment of property, and new businesses, 19.8%. Even in COVID last year, we showed an increase of 1.8%. And some of the other CIDs in other counties lost as much as 14% or greater values than that. We've been able to maintain ours. We only had 2 businesses closed during COVID. The rest, some of our businesses did stay open by appointment only, but we're blessed. As Lloyd said earlier, this community is a great community, and the people that have businesses here and live here are wonderful people, and that's why we're committed to this.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Cowell? So I say it again? Thank you. It passed 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
guys
much.
for being here. Thank you so much. Next is item number 14. Board discussion consideration Parks and Recreation purchasing requesting approval of contract for Lowe's Associates Inc. for comprehensive master plan for the Recreation Department. Cost $93,500. Mr. Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This contract is to do a comprehensive master plan for recreation. We have a number of parks that are in the county now, and we're looking at doing, obviously there's interest in doing a number of other projects. And so before we start or before we go any further, we thought it would be in our best interest to have a comprehensive plan done, to bring in people who have had great experience in doing master planning to help us determine where what we needed in terms of serving the public, and also where those particular facilities would need to go and how we can finance them and how we can build them and so forth. Dwayne Mast, our director, is here tonight, and I think Jeff is also going to be involved in this project. So if y'all would like to come up and say a few words about this project, please do so.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the scope of work is broken into eight functional areas. The first one is just project administration, working with the team. Then also they're going to be doing developing a demographics report, looking at how the growth patterns are in the county, where people are living, where people are moving, all the different areas of that. It will also do a very extensive inventory and condition assessment of all of the parks facilities and that exist in the Parks and Rec department as it stands today. They will then also work to do outreach and needs assessment and gap analysis, determining what are the areas that we need, what programs do we not have, what facilities and improvements do we not have throughout the community. They will work with us as a group to help prioritize and recommend specific park improvements, development, and potential future acquisitions of land that might be necessary for additional parks to help support the needs of the community itself. It will also evaluate the staffing and operational needs for these improvements and what those costs may be, and work with us to determine ways of gathering funds that cover those kind of costs. Something very important to you, I would imagine, would be meetings. So we were very, very specific in the RFP about the community involvement. We wanted to make sure that there was plenty of opportunities at different levels for the community to provide their input, because obviously this is their facilities. So in addition to working with the staff in several different kind of meetings, they will be working with the community by hosting at least one community meeting per district. They will then also do a public survey that will be online, where if you couldn't attend one of the meetings, you'll still have an opportunity online to provide your input for what's going on. And then working with you as the commission, they will come and make a preliminary presentation to their findings, receive input from you, work with the Parks and Rec department to determine how to edit the final recommendations, and then come back and make a final presentation to you for your approval.
You have anything to learn?
You know, just we talked about this probably the last 3 months, and one of the, I think the biggest thing, like Jeff just said, is we want to involve the community and have some meetings and hear just what the community wants. And what I want from Parks and Rec is probably totally different than what the community wants. So, and we all have our own thing of what we'd like to have, but we're here for the community, and that's what we like to do, is get their input and just kind of have some guidance over the next, this will be about a 5 or 10 year plan, so just give us guidance over the next few years.
Thank you, sir. Guys, I need a motion to get it going. Commissioner Henry.
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chairman. Make that form of motion.
Who is in motion by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner I think Mason. Discussion, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What about the projects that we've already kind of started? I know we had purchased property over on Brown Bridge Road. And I can't think the former teacher, Mr. Chairman, what's his name?
Mr. Addison.
Yeah, Mr. Addison. And there was something that was already looked at, and we had requested, I think, through Lord. And I think the meetings that we've had with the county attorney, Ms. Morgan, that we were gonna do a plan for that, include Mr. Allen, and come him in with it too, as well, as far as that park over in it. It was about 11 plus acres. Secondly, is when we were looking at, it was some more gifted property where we did the roundabout over on Jack Neely Road, right in there. And there was something that we also need to look at. So, what I'm saying is, and my point I'm trying to make is, let's not abandon the project that we've already looked at, and we need to incorporate those projects into that master plan. And I'm just say something about talking about 2005 master plan that I knew a little bit, a little bit about. We had the plan, but we just never did do the work. The master plan for in Covington was to move the one off Jefferson Street somewhere else. Well, we moved it, and then we ended up, because I knew about it and because the area they was in, we spent all the splash money that we could get to try to improve it and give the community plan they really wanted. And that's kind of what we did. And I would like to thank Mr. Wayne for working and helping and understanding the vision and the need for community parks in Newton County. So it's a good thing that he has. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
So I was listening because I know Lord said projects. Are there any projects that are already in mind, or this is going to already come fresh from the citizens once you have, and they decide on those projects?
Yes, Commissioner, it would be opening up for ideas from the community. They're going to be kind of, these first meetings for each of the districts is a fact finding. They want to get input. They want to get, what do you want? And then they take all this information and they kind of compile it with the demographics of what the needs are from experience from other types of systems and other types of parks and rec programs, and they'll come back with recommendations from that.
Do you have a timeline when you'll have the meeting for the public?
We haven't worked that out exactly because we wanted to get past this point tonight, but we'll certainly put that together and make sure everybody is aware of it, work with public information, make sure we're advertising this in enough time so people know when these meetings are and where the public input survey is on the line and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Commissioner, we're not abandoning anything we got going. So actually, Mr. Kern and I talked a little bit about the Addison property today, so that's definitely still in the works.
Dwayne, I know you.
Just to add to that, for instance, Spring Hill Park, I know Commissioner Cowan, Commissioner Mason, we were looking at different parcels of land for that. That is included as one of the future park facilities that they would help us to analyze and see how that fits into the system.
Anyone else? All in favor? Commissioner Cowan? I'm sorry? Thank you, sir. Pass 5-0.
Thank you.
Next, Public Works requesting approval or Atlas Technical Consultant change order for additional engineering work on Brown Bridge Road at Yellow River. Project number PI 0015096. Cost $49,800. Mr. Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our transportation engineer, Chester Clegg, is here. I'm going to ask Chester to step up and explain these changes to us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
The consultant we have doing the preliminary engineering in the bridge design for the Yellow River Bridge replacement is about 90% complete with the project. We have acquired all the right-of-way, so we're moving ahead with the project. But we're either going to have to, we're disturbing a third of an acre or so of wetlands, so we're going to have to either buy wetland credits from a bank, or our consultant can use some on-site property to do the wetland mitigation. And that's what we had chosen to do. And they are requesting some additional funds to do the engineering to provide that. Most of that would be providing the wetlands mitigation on site.
Thank you. Seek a motion, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Cowan? Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you for being here, Chester. Next is alcohol beverage license, first reading. Bolero 14625 LLC. Owner Shaheen Quick and Inc. 4625 Highway 36. Applicant is Shahai Delani. District 1 alcohol license. Final reading 1814 Quick Stop LLC. Owner Nourishing Rail 1814 Highway 11, District 1. Mr. Edwards. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Henderson. All in favor? Commissioner Cowan? Thank you. Pass 5-0. Next is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity we allow citizens to make comments about any topic. You may comment this time. You have 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name, your address for the record, please. You may comment this time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Keisha Williams, and I live at Stone Ridge subdivision, and I currently live at 75 Stone Commons Way. I have 2 separate concerns. My first concern was I just discovered that we all are implementing transit that's going to be established. I don't know how soon, maybe 2 years from now. I'm not too certain. I was not aware that this was going to be established. I did not discover it until I went on the website to look on, to locate what time and what date of this meeting was going to be occurred. And that's when I saw that there was a transit plan meeting taking place for us to see what it looks like. So I was not aware, and I asked the people that was facilitating the meeting, how are the residents being notified about this? Because I'm sure a lot of people are not aware that this is taking place. And then he stated that notifications were sent out by cell phone or email, but I've been a resident for like 10 years and I've never been notified. So I don't know how the distribution of the notifications are being sent, emails, phone numbers, because all of that information is established on my accounts, of course. You all know where I live. So I just have concerns about the transit plan. I don't want to see transit being implemented in Newton County. I specifically moved out here because of not having that type of service. I don't want the unforeseen crime that's going to increase if that is established. So I just have concerns, and I hope you all will not implement that. I'm sure it is, but I just had to put that out there to let you all know. My second concern, which is the look of Newton County. I understand that there's a lot of people that are moving here and that a lot of buildings, but a lot of it that I see right now, a lot of buildings need a uplift, like they need refacing. So I hope that you all kind of like give some sort of incentive to certain builders to say, why don't you just look at this location and trying to make it look a little bit better and build in that particular location versus breaking ground breaking down trees and things of that nature. So I just hope you all just consider that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Donna Lindsay, 150 Barber Road, Covington, Georgia. And my concerns are two. One is I have emailed each of the commissioners as well as copies of other people that are here about a request to have a audit of all key card holders and users for the last 2 years. We keep seeing posts all over Covington News, several different websites on Facebook about the misuse of funds, getting used for personal use, even though it's clearly stated in the county handbook that personal use is not allowed. So even though an individual says they're paying it back, I can't get any answers to any disciplinary actions of why we're allowing that and why it's allowed to continue, especially when it's been continuing for over 4 workplace. The other thing is we have executives here, and all of you are aware of whom I'm going to speak about, that I have repeatedly emailed, and I cannot get any answers by our county manager or our board chairman, and I would like those questions addressed. I have made multiple attempts to open records, and I've been told that the policy is that we get those open records within 3 days. I have several outstanding that have never been addressed. I can't get answers back on why I don't get those requests fulfilled. And as previously stated to the other members I've been here, I've heard the members say that those key cards are open records. There's nothing to be hidden. So I can't understand why I can't get the records that I'm requesting. So all of those are my concerns. Not only do I pay property taxes in the county, I'm a business. I pay a business license fee, and 3% of all of my sales go to SWAT. So if I can't get some resolution here, then my next thing is in county. So I don't understand why I can't get the help that I need to get the answers that I would like to have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Commissioner Gowan.
Something I need to check with Lloyd on. Lloyd, Surrey Chase, there's some construction being done down there by the Water and Sewer Authority. They've got some roads that are torn up. Could you get one of your guys to check on that, please?
Yes, sir. Definitely will.
Okay, that's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I have just a brief few words. I think a while back, Attorney Megan and myself, and I don't think it was Lord, but we sat down and we were talking about the projects that we had asked me to downsize my project. I think we went from 5 million to whatever. And so one of the things, or a few of the things that I requested was the Aura Cousin building gym be changed into a voting precinct, where you can go early voting. And it seemed like we were somewhat in agreement for that. We also requested that in that same building, that the storage space for the computers for the voting office be stored there in a temperature environment. And so when there was some other stuff, I requested that a nice plaque around about $10,000 be given in honor of Mr. Forrest Sawyer and Anthony Avery from the Black Easter March that came from Cousins to the square. And we asked that another plaque be placed in the square representing that as for his community. And we want to know where is it? There was another plaque for the Fab Five who stayed in jail for several months of being covered in a little small jail over there that want to be placed there as a sort of history that we all have here in Newton County. And so we just asked him, what might we be on that?
First, I want to congratulate our first Olympian in Newton County. I don't know if you guys are aware, Elijah Goodman, I have not the last name. I had the opportunity to speak to his mother today. She actually lives in my district. He won the bronze medal in the track and field area. So this is our first and ever Olympian. I spoke to him and his mother on the phone and was able to congratulate them today. And I want to congratulate the citizens that are coming together to put something special for him. They called me and told me they were going to do something special for him. So congratulations to our first Olympian who won the bronze with the Newton High. So I'm excited about that because that is my area, my district. I'm excited about that. As well as this weekend, for those of you who missed jumping on the trampoline, we had an awesome time. We went back to our childhood and we worked out. We had a good time. We had some citizens pass by watching us jumping on these trampolines safely. I also want to thank the Newton County Sheriff's Department for partnering with us and assisting us with the electricity that we need for the sound and all that great, wonderful stuff. And our last workout session is August 28th, where we'll be doing cycling again. And we have 2 sessions, one at 10 and one at 11. You can go to commissionersanders.com to register for that. I'm also excited about our ladies retreat coming up. We had a number of ladies, daughters, and mentors that signed up. And I wanted to also thank those citizens who donated everything for this event. I mean, everything for this event was donated by the citizens. Catering, decorating, a major company is about to give to these individuals that's coming to the event. So I am happy and excited about that, and thanks to all those who supported this and were involved.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank this board for one, moving forward to approve the comprehensive master plan for the recreation department. I think that was very, very needed. And so I think that was a great step in the right direction. So I was glad to see us do that, as well as I'm glad to see now that we are in discussion of the American Rescue Plan Act. Now we have some upward moving that we're currently doing in that particular area. I think the information that was shared with us tonight, it would be a great idea for all of us individually as county commissioners to basically express or reiterate that information out to our constituents, just to kind of update them, to kind of let them know what we're doing and how we're moving and how we're progressing in that area. We did have in District 2, we had our movie night last Friday night, and it was phenomenal. And so we had a great response. We had our DJ there. We had some local tumblers that were there for entertainment. We had all of our food vendors that was there as well. And we had an awesome church that actually came out, and they did games and a lot of different things for the kids. They made the little balloon hats and it was we really had a great time. And so we're looking forward to our next and last movie night that's going to be held at Denny Dobbs Park, which will be on September the 17th on a Friday. And so we're going to invite everybody to come out to that event on September the 17th. Bring your lawn chairs, bring your blankets, bring your movie snacks, or you can purchase food items from our vendors that are going to be there. And we're going to play some more games, watch movies, and just have an overall great time. We've been locked in the house with COVID, and so this gives us an opportunity to actually be outside, be out of the house, and still be able to fellowship, have fun. We're also looking at planning up another cleanup day this month, which is going to take place on August the 28th. So be looking out for that. We want to do our best to keep our community clean. And so I have personally committed to doing at least one cleanup per month, if not more. And so we want to just do everything we can to make sure that we keep Newton County beautiful and that it's a great place that we can live, work, and play. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. Thank you. God, I think the motion that we adjourn. Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate your attendance tonight.